Welcome. I'm Susan Kessel, and you're watching Fairfield Public Access Television. I'm here today at the Prairie Moon Gallery with two guests, Bonnie Dinkle. Hi.
Hello.
And Kathleen Tache. And I met, these are both artists. We're all three artists in the Fairfield community. And you've been involved in a group that I've just learned about called Plein Air Painters, a group of artists.
That's right.
How many of you are there?
Oh, what, about 20 of us?
Or
in
even
this
25.
show.
I think there's 25 here, and there'll be 30 at the next show. So our numbers grow according to our show, it looks like.
Yeah, I just thought of two more to add to the list. And I know there are more out there, too.
Good.
What Plein Air, maybe we should even spell that for our audience.
Plein, and then AIR, air, paintings. And it means to paint nature outdoors. Is that right, Bob?
Yeah, in the open air.
I like that name. It is a French term. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you actually, as a group, go out and paint outside?
We often go outside, but it depends who comes. We aren't usually a big group. There's maybe one or two of us, but we have a phone line so that anybody who'd like to join us could. And the phone line tells you where we're going to paint every Saturday. And in this weather, we don't do too much painting, of course. But Bonnie could tell you more about it.
Okay.
So our phone number, I give the phone number, is 470-2713. And it's an information line that you can call to get information about where we'll be painting on that Saturday. Also, it tells about various shows for different artists in town and just different like educational programs for artists.
That's great. And like I said, I'm an artist too, and I hadn't heard until fairly recently about this, so I'm excited to think that there's a group that actually every Saturday when they can is going to go work together. And when did this start?
Well, we started it, a couple of months ago or so. Yeah, in the spring. And also I wanted to say, too, that, since the weather is so cold now, obviously we can't be outside, but we'd like to set something up inside for, people to come and paint indoors and, do still life setups and maybe figures.
Well, I know where we can do that, and the Art Association in our workspace, they already meet on Wednesdays, and they have an open studio, and we'll have to talk more about that, and hopefully that we'll be able to do that.
Good. It will be nice to have a place for everybody to come and mix our Art Association and our Plein Air Painters group. The Plein Air Painters group really isn't just people who have to paint outside or in a group. You can note where we're going on a Saturday, and if you're only free on the Thursday, you can go there. And if you happen to have a nice little area that you live in that you wouldn't mind a small group of very nice, well-mannered artists coming over, you could call that number and leave a message and tell us the place, and we'd love to include your farm or scenic view in the Plein Air Painters' possibilities of painting for 1 month.
Where are some of the places that you have painted?
One of the places that we spent a couple of weeks at was out at Diana Rue's farm, which is about 4 miles south on Route 1. And then you turn left, east, and go about 2 miles. And it's just a fabulous place, just really beautiful, sort of up on a hill, and you had all these wonderful views of cows and ponds and horses, and so it was really a painter's paradise out there.
Iowa is really a beautiful place, and Jefferson County is a wonderful place to go out and paint. I know just traveling along, lots of times I'll see things, and I wish I had my camera because I don't have time to paint, but at least I could take a photo to work from, but that's not always possible. But when you have a group that want to work together, that certainly is, it's also inspirational to work with other artists too.
It is, and sometimes it's a little embarrassing because their work is quite good.
You learn a lot.
You do, and it's fun to talk to people as you paint too, or you can be quiet. But the nice thing about it is also that it isn't confining. You know, if you're a person like myself who gets bitten or sunburned, you can also sit in your car and paint. I have it rigged up so I can put a piece of masonite just hooked over the steering wheel, and I have all my things, and I paint from inside the car and don't get quite as sunburned or bitten or windblown.
That's really innovative. That's a great idea.
Or if you have a van, which I do, that works out great. I sit in the back and just set my easel on the seat, and that way you don't, as Kathleen says, you don't have to worry about the elements, the bugs, and actually the sun being right on your painting too, and on your palette isn't ideal either.
Now, I have taken a lot of watercolor workshops, and we actually go out and we would see a demonstration, and then we would kind of separate out around and work. And that was always in watercolor. But lately, I've been doing oil pastel. Do the people that come, are they doing different media, or are they all painting, or?
All different media, from watercolorists, we have some in the show here, to some pastel. I paint in acrylic often because it's easier with a little spritzer bottle to keep it wet all the time. Bonnie paints in oil. And I think Lynette, who did some flowers over there, does colored pencil. So anything's possible.
Okay. Sounds like lots of fun. Is there anything else about the group that we should say before we take a tour here? Or else it will come up when we're...
Okay, well, as you can see, we do hold group shows, or this is our first attempt to hold a group show. I think there's 22 artists in this show and over 52 or 57 paintings.
And it is in a room. This is on the north side of the square, in the alley on the north side, and you can enter through Crest Jewel.
That's right.
Is there another entrance also?
There is another entrance, but it's usually locked because it would take one of us to be here all the time, and that's the advantage of having Crest Jewel here. So you can just use their store hours, which are 12 noon to 4:30, to come view the gallery and walk through their store to the gallery.
Okay, that's really nice to, I know that's always a problem, having a show sitter for something like this, and this makes it really nice. And this is called Prairie Moon Gallery?
That's right.
Did we
And,
mention anything about it changing?
well, things always change around here, and there's a possibility that it might, and you were telling me about that.
Yes, it seems like it's also been a space for rent all the time. They've kindly let us use the gallery, and the Fairfield Weekly Reader would like to now rent the space, but they also want to accommodate us, and their interests in promoting Fairfield artists is great. So they had suggested that we continue having shows of a smaller scale here in the gallery, and they'll use it also as their office space. So they'll be changing it around and having monthly shows. That was their plan. So we hope to continue with a show in January on the 6th opening, even though that the Fairfield Weekly Reader will come in maybe towards the end of the month and set up their office.
Well, we hope that that works out. And if not, if there's anyone out there in the community that would like to offer a space, a really nice, well-lit space, such as where we are now, I'm sure you could give either Bonnie or Kathleen a call and let them know.
We could call our information line, 470-2713.
That sounds great. Well, let's give our cameraman a little break, and then we're going to take a tour of the gallery. Once again, we're at the Prairie Moon Gallery, which is on the north side of the square in the alley. You can enter through Crest Jewel, and this is the first exhibit of the Plein Air artists. And this one that we're looking at is by?
We have two oil paintings, beautiful oil paintings by Rhea Good, and the title of the first one is, the top one is Arrowhead Refuge. It's an oiled, and then the bottom one is called Hay Bales Along Fitzslough.
And are these local? Do you know if these were done locally?
I don't know, but they certainly look like they are Iowa landscapes and probably local.
Yeah, they do. They feel real Iowa. And then right next to it looks like a watercolor, and it is by
Cathy Alto, Watham Woods, is that how you say that? Whitham Woods. Oh, okay. I couldn't quite see it with my...
We're talking about who needs glasses here. And then I know we have several watercolors, and the next two are by Suzanne Mazur.
That's right, Suzanne Mazur. She also did these from Iowa landscapes, I believe.
She has kind of an oriental thing going, I think.
Yeah, she has an oriental flair, and there are two others in the lobby that are very lovely to look at, too, just as you enter the Prairie Moon Gallery.
Now, these are some of my favorites in this show, the next ones that we're looking at. And there are four, and are these all by the same artist?
Yes, this is Ian Roberts, and probably a lot of us are familiar with Ian. He's actually a professional artist and teaches lots of workshops in Europe. And these are some really, really nice landscape paintings that he's done in Iowa.
Does he reside in Fairfield?
He does once a year. He takes his workshops to the south of France, and I think next year he's going to New Zealand. So, and he's a Canadian. His father was a painter, and his grandfather was a painter. He was one of the famous group of seven from Canada. So he has a nice, strong painterly lineage.
Yes, he does. And the media, is that oil or acrylic?
It's oil.
Very nice. I really like those. It would be nice if we would find out that he's offering a workshop
He usually
here.
doesn't offer locally.
Not
workshops,
locally,
but
okay.
he does give lessons sometimes.
Okay.
Well, if you'd like to go to France, there's your...
I know, and I just got back from New Zealand, darn. And we'll take the first painting over there. And do we know who that one is by?
This is by Betty Scheerscreen.
Okay, she's a new member of the Fairfield Art Association, and we've had her work in our membership exhibit.
She's got a couple more in here also, and we'll be getting to those in a little while.
And I do know Geri Felix, right? Right.
Yes,
It's
Geri's
fun to recognize some of this work.
They're lively pastels, and she does a beautiful job on them.
She and I, several years back, probably over 10, were working with a person in Iowa City, and she was getting some of our artwork for the university hospitals up there. And that's one of the last times I saw Geri working, so I'm really happy to see her things again.
Well, she's quite an active professional artist, I believe. That's her
Great.
full-time job.
Great. And then next here, whose are these? I'll have to tell about these.
Really nice. Is it Fairfield?
Actually, both of these were done in Hawaii, and I started taking oil pastel with me because it's too difficult to do watercolor and drag around, and lots of times I don't get them finished. So I did start these actually out in the open air on the spot. Took photos then, and then when I came back, it took me a couple years to get back to it to finish them, but I just did recently. So having this group going in Fairfield will be inspiring to me, and I'll get a lot more done.
Oh, good. 'Cause they're very nice. It would be good to have you continue your art.
Next we have, it looks like a pastel.
These are, Betsy Huff Smith has done both of these. Are they both pastels? Watercolor pastel.
Maybe
the top one.
Okay.
And then the bottom one is a watercolor.
And she's done these two at the side also, with the same medium, I believe.
It's you can, once you get to know an artist and their work, definitely pick them out. And those four, you can tell that they're all by the same artist. So we do invite the Fairfield community to come uptown and check out the gallery show and see the talent in Fairfield. It's really amazing.
Betsy definitely painted right here locally around the north part of Fairfield.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see. You can tell that that lower one over there is the reservoir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you really can.
That's one of our more frequent sites that we have people meet at, the Reservoir and also Jefferson County Park.
Oh, those would be great. Now we have,
This is Lorraine Gibson, and she's done 2 trees and 1 flower around the fire hydrant.
and are these acrylic maybe?
I think she's using gouache in the 2 top ones, which is like a opaque watercolor.
With white.
Yeah.
And next we have, okay, I knew I liked these too.
Thank you. These are acrylics, and we have Northern Iowa at the top near Okoboji, and also Northern Iowa at the bottom. And these were beautiful autumn days that I couldn't resist the golden trees. And then we have small little miniatures of the Fairfield Square, the gazebo. And that's in acrylic. And then we have Jefferson County Park. Also,
I recognize that.
oh
too.
good, you can tell.
Yeah. And I do recognize these, Jeanette Wobenhorst.
Right.
She's also a popular artist in town, and she shows in a lot of places. Probably many people are familiar with seeing her work around.
She has taught 1 class for us at the Art Association, and I noticed that the new Luciano's restaurant is completely full of her work, and it is very nice, kind of a Monet type a feeling.
Yes, she took from Henry Henchy, who is a famous American impressionist, and he learned from Monet, actually, the color theories and of the impressionists. So her work has a long lineage of right back to the American impressionists. I mean, the European impressionists.
Right. They're very, the color, you can really feel it. It's, like you're there, out there. And then we have 2 more watercolors, and these are by?
These are by Jean Sharp.
And she's one of the ladies who works for the Weekly Reader. So her work will be hanging here, no doubt, even more.
Oh, good, good. It's nice to have an artist there. And now these look familiar too. Okay, no wonder. And they're yours.
Yes, these are Bonnie's paintings. And what can I say about them? They were all painted in the autumn. I love to, that's my favorite time to go out and paint because the colors are incredible. This one that we're seeing now, I guess I did that in '99, last year. This one was done recently out at Diana Rue's farm that we talked about earlier.
Very painterly, I like that.
Thank you. And in the middle we have a winter scene, which I painted last year. It's actually on the campus of MUM, this really gorgeous spot where the stream runs under the bridge. And I was noticing the snow now, and if you look around, you really do see a lot of red coming from the trees, even though there's all this white from the snow and everything. It's you can still see that.
That's one thing I like about that is you've got the warmth coming through. I know you still need to have that with a winter painting, is that warmth. It's nice. And then as we move on, we're looking at the last 2 of yours.
Again, this was done last year in the autumn. And then this one was just done pretty recently, this autumn at Diana's again.
And once again, you can tell the artist, the 2 paintings are by the same artist. And these are by? Okay.
Lynette Ewald, and she's an artist and also editor of the Everybody's World newspaper.
Now, a lot of people might be familiar with her work with her etchings, and that's what I am more familiar with. She's done a lot of really nice colored etchings, but I hadn't seen this work.
No, these are nice watercolors that she's accomplished. She has 4 of them here. So the top one is the iris and then a rose.
And then as we move over to the left, she does have an etching, and this is what I was referring to. And I believe she studied with Stephen Whittle, and I just heard the very sad story of Stephen Whittle. I was out in Napa Valley and had seen his work, and then I came back and talked to him, and he was moving out there, and then I heard just a few months ago that he drowned at Lake Tahoe.
Yes, it's sad. He did. His wife has set up a fund, I think, for any donations for the children.
He was a very talented artist.
Oh, a wonderful talent, and he was going there to make his living, and that was very sad. And a lot of people in Fairfield didn't know that, so breaking the news here. But Lynette studied with him and is carrying on a little bit of his tradition in his looks. And I think we'll give our cameraman a little break.
So here we have some paintings by Carolyn Larson, and I really like these paintings a lot. They're very painterly, and you can really see the Iowa landscape here. She uses some really wonderful colors, and in this bottom one here. And then she's, I was with her when she did this one out at Jefferson County Park of the bridge out there. And then we have B.J. Wacknoff,
Right.
which is another very nice painting, and it's the same bridge that we just saw out at Jefferson County Park.
Very limited palette, but it comes off very nice.
The greens are beautiful, I think, and the way she handled the water is just really, really nice.
It's very nice, and she's a new artist. We're hoping to encourage her to paint some more with us this next year.
It's amazing the variety here of work and the styles and the levels of talent also. They're all, pretty good, but there are some, it's amazing. And I know that there are more in Fairfield, so hopefully when they see the show that maybe they'll contact that hotline number, and which is
470-2713.
So call if you're interested in finding out more and where they're working. And here we have,
These are two more of Betty Scheer's green. We already saw one of hers, and I also think that these two paintings are really beautiful. This bottom one that we're looking at now has some really, really real dynamism to it.
the unusual color and more color in the palette as compared to the one that we were looking at before.
Right.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time I saw the show, these really struck me because they are really unusual compared to a lot of the other pieces in the show.
Mm-hmm.
These are Suzanne Wolfson's, and she's quite an accomplished artist. She was getting her master's degree in art when I was, and she loves animals, birds, and ecology, so her titles are also unique. Bonnie, do you want to read those titles?
Okay.
Sometimes the titles are just so much fun.
So the top one is Conversation for H.W., and the bottom one is Thinking Beyond Grief. So,
Not sure what that
Figure those
means,
out.
but it's a mourning dove, so maybe it has something to do with that.
Okay, yeah. Lots of times you have to look at it a lot harder after you've read the title. Think, oh. Yeah. And now we have a little tiny one.
yeah, these are some paintings done by Bill Teeple. And Bill is, many people know Bill. He teaches here in town, teaches drawing and painting. And he's...
Is this pencil?
Yes, I think it's
Yes.
graphite.
Mhm. And he's very well known for doing these very small drawings, and they're really quite beautiful. And I was also really impressed to see a couple of his paintings. I haven't seen his paintings, and I think this top one is really quite lovely. The trees and the water. And
He called these just starts or demonstrations that he was doing for his class, so I'm very impressed with the color.
Very good start, very good demo. And lots of times that when you know that you're not doing a so-called painting, you can be really free and get a lot of feeling in them, and they turn out a lot nicer than the ones you spend forever on.
That's very true.
That's actually, the plein air painting approach is really kind of like that. It's, you have to be quick when you're out in nature, to deal with all the changing elements, the light and the, so many different changing things. So you have to, be quick and just kind of, sometimes you do just get a quick sketch and
not overwork something and ruin it. And then it looks like we have a little tiny one over here.
Ah, yes, guess who? My miniatures again. And this one is from the, let's see, the same one that Bonnie did.
I was going to say, that looks like the same one.
Very similar.
Yeah. And then again, we have the square. And
Do you
these are
find
done
it's hard to work that little?
Sometimes it is, yes. But then sometimes it's freeing because you can accomplish a whole lot with just a few strokes of the brush.
Right. I know I have found it challenging if I've done a set for a play, for instance, and you've got to do this massive. And you have to work fast for that and not do a lot of detail, and that's challenging too. That would be fun.
Yeah, and then when you can just paint a little whole vision in a tiny little peak that you might get on a small canvas, that's another challenge and fun too.
So the extremes in sizes are fun and challenging, and you learn a lot.
Lots of challenges with painting, but that's what makes it fun and interesting.
Right. And we do have a couple more little ones over here. And this is another miniature by Kathleen.
This was a lake that I thought was so charming. It's actually not Fairfield, it's Colorado, but I threw it in anyway.
I like the pastel color. It's very sunny feeling.
Thanks. It has that dry Colorado kind of air. But this one is the hay bales of Iowa, which we often see, the falling apart hay bales with a little lake at the back. And that's also acrylic.
Okay. Well, Bonnie and Kathleen, thank you so much for telling us about the Plein Air Artists. And this is a group in Fairfield that's working together. Hopefully they try to get together on Saturdays. And there's a hotline number that you can call and find out where they're working and if it's warm out, where they're located. And you can work in any media that you like and enjoy the company. Is there a time that you usually go during the day?
We say that it's between the hours of 9 and 4. So usually, one of us is there. There's somebody there at those times.
So I'm sure if you can only come for the afternoon or the morning, you just...
You bring your lunch. Some people do that. Stay for the day, or just, come the afternoon or the morning. Whatever.
Okay, that sounds great. And once again, we invite you to come in.
One
more thing.
We are having another art show, we're hoping, and it's a portrait show. It will be what inspires an artist to paint. So we thought whatever moves an artist, be it a person or a flower or a tree, that's a portrait. And so there'll be maybe as many as 25 or 30 artists displaying their artwork here again at the gallery, if it doesn't interfere with the schedule of the move-in of the Weekly Reader. We'll be here opening on January 6th at 2:30, so please come for our opening.
Okay, that sounds great. And once again, this is the Prairie Moon Gallery right now on the north side of the square in the alley off of Crest Jewel. And I'm excited to be, I think that's a New Year's resolution for me, is I'm going to paint more. So painters out there, artists out there.
Put it on your list of goals.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. And we look forward to seeing you at the gallery and hopefully out there painting.
Yes.
Thank you very much.